Do you love design? On Driven by Design, we're having conversations with designers about how they got into the field, what they're working on today, and what they're thinking about for the future. Curious? Then get in. Hi, I'm John Hamilton, and this is Driven by Design. Today's guest is Harry Allen.
Get a little background, so tell me about yourself.
You know, I'm a really classic industrial designer, but I work sort of in a lot of different areas. One of them, I do a lot of life casting. So I'm very well known for this line of products that I do. I call it Reality is the name of the line. You know that work, like the cast piggy bank and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And that's basically like I cast things from life and then give them functions.
Yeah. I didn't know there was a name for that.
Well, I call it Reality because when I started doing it, it was right when reality television program or that reality television was taking off. And so that's like one little pocket of my work. But I've done, you know, a lot of other stuff, furniture and, you know, more classic industrial design. For years, I did a lot of interiors.
Yeah.
That has sort of stopped. And so I think it would be really interesting to go back and to design some retail now. Like, I think it would be an interesting project for me.
It was interesting. I saw a thing recently with Tommy Hilfiger and Calvin. They were rethinking kind of their stores. And they were telling us about how they're going to have a store where they don't have stock, but they have samples of everything. And so you can go in and you get to try it on that way and feel it. You can feel the fabrics. You can see if the cut fits you well. And if you like it, then they send it to you.
Yeah, but don't you want to walk out of the store with it? I would take it home.
It was funny. They were saying that not everyone wants to, and the amount of energy that they can save on not having to have spaces where they have enough room to stock everything, not sending things to the store that aren't selling and then have to send somewhere else. And all the knots that they had that were doing good for the earth were really great. And they really
less packaging, less bags. I mean,
really interested in that as a manufacturing 4.0 or one of the new technologies that they're looking at. If you think about 3D weaving and how if you knew my exact body shape and size, that you could knit the shirt to fit me perfectly, and the pants and everything. And if we started,
will it hide my belly? Can we adjust it a little bit? I've been recently doing so much work with scanning, digital scanning, and 3D printing. I'm 3D printing ceramics now, which has been really fun.
Oh, that's cool.
It's called
Did you have to
Quambio.
hack your own printer, or you bought a printer that's designed?
I've never had a 3D printer, but I can just imagine that it's like always needs a technician. So I'm working with this company called Quambio now, and they do really beautiful 3D printed ceramic. They're in the Ukraine, you know. So what else do you want to know?
Well, so what is it?
Yeah, you know,
something you haven't done that you want to do, like if you design anything, like, oh my god, I wish I could design this.
I mean, I think there's like a roster of things as an industrial designer that one would like to do in one's career. And there's quite a few of them that I haven't done. The teapot, I would love to design a teapot. I would love to design a car. I haven't had my fill of furniture. I don't have a Harry Allen chair on the market, for example. You know, so it's like whatever the next project is the most interesting. But I am right now, I have a backlog of ideas, and I have found that in my career, some of the best things or the most productive things that I've done, I've self-produced them. And then they lead to other things. You know, I designed a few years ago, it's a wastebasket that is made from a hardened basketball net.
Oh.
It's the most beautiful thing. It's something that I really want to be in the world. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think there's people who would want it. It touches on this sort of weird topic in like sport and design. which is not something that a lot of people have talked about. To me, it's like this great design project, and I have not been able to make it because every company that I have proposed it to, it ends up being too expensive. This is a problem with all of the United States. We have removed making from our culture. We shipped it all to China. So no one really knows anyone who makes anything.
It's funny, I mentioned that last night to somebody as well, and they said, yeah, you don't have any manufacturers here anymore.
No, there's no one making
I was
anything.
like,
And it's true. So like, one of the reasons why Milan is such a vibrant design week is that they have a real market. There are factories right outside of Milan making furniture, and they're still doing what they've done. They just like literally load up their furniture and bring it to town to market. That's what's going on there, and they've been doing it for, probably thousands of years.
but not all the things in Milan are Milan-based anymore either. I mean, I remember at some point it was more Italian, certainly, but it's interesting.
No.
It's even becoming
It's from all
a
over.
brand show now. You have people who aren't even in the furniture industry showing things or talking about what they're thinking about.
Once something's successful, everyone jumps on it, right? That's like the whole Art Basel thing. I'm like, why are you showing it Art Basel? And like everyone's just like, well, there's a lot of people there, so it's like they just jump on it.
It's interesting though, in Milan, there are a lot of designers for sure, but it's the public as well.
There's so much making in Italy. Like there's so many little factories, and we have just shipped all of that away. I mean, it's the only thing I agree with Donald Trump on is that, it's a shame. What we've done is so irresponsible, shipping all of our manufacturing far away on so many levels. And of course, I'm selfish about it. I would love to be able to go to factories like right outside of New York. That's like the industrial design playground, right? Like you get all your ideas like watching things get made. And the other thing is it's very hard to design for, like, if you don't know what a factory's capability is, it's very hard to design. You're like sort of going, well, it could be this if you can do this, but it can be this if you can do that. You're talking in these generalities. I find it so difficult and frustrating. I found this factory out in Newark, New Jersey, and I went out there, it was like a football size space, and they had all this old machinery. They had a lot of heavy equipment out there, big stuff. And many years later, I was working on a new project. I was actually working on a chair that was made out of metal mesh. But I had this guy in the studio, and I called, and Newark wire metal mesh was still there, and I was so psyched. And I had this young guy in the studio. I was like, oh, we're gonna do a field trip, we're gonna go visit the factory, we're gonna so we get in the car and we drive out there, and the football size place was an office. And they had sold all of the equipment to China, and they were still working with the same factory that they had sold it to. And then I got out there, it was a wah wah. I always say New York is like the best and the worst place to be a designer. It's the worst place because you have no making here, no real manufacturing here. But it's the best because it's an inspirational cultural city. So like you're part of, like, it's a great place to get inspired by other art forms, and it's a great place to live. So like I've made my choice, I'm here, so I just have to get over it. I mean, I don't know how the Europeans managed to preserve their manufacturing, and it feels to me like it's a cultural thing. Like if you had a little factory in the United States, your dream was to sell it on to a bigger company culturally, right? Like for instance, like the housewares industry, which is an industry that I wanted to make my teapot, right? Who do you work for? It's all consolidated, and they were all little companies that were successful, but in that industry they sort of just all got bought up. And what happened in Europe is you still have a bunch of family-owned companies.
Well, it's funny. I wonder if that's so the dream might be different there. Maybe the dream here is to develop a company and sell it to somebody, like you said, where there it's to pass it on to your family.
Yeah, I just don't know how that's such a different philosophy. Is there something I don't know. Is there something in the water? Or is it just a cultural thing? Or was it supported by government? I just don't know. I've always wondered that. Last words of wisdom. I don't know. You do not want me to sing. And no, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it for Driven by Design. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.